is wicked.
Squash is the game.
Try radical squash.
Squash is cool. Squash is great fun.
The game is sorted.
Squash is great.
Squash is played on a rectangular court with wooden floors and white walls.
The idea of the game is to beat the opponent by playing a shot that they cannot return back. It's a very enjoyable game and it's fast.
I like squash because it's fun and exciting and I beat all my friends at it.
Squash is great because you get rid of your aggression.
It's challenging, it's fast, my friends play it.
Exciting, and it gets me out tidying my room up in the mornings.
I like squash because you can enter tournaments.
It's easy to learn.
You can hit the ball really hard without having to worry about going to have to chase it.
The serve is very simple. All you have to do is have one foot inside the service box and one foot outside. Then you hit the ball so it goes over the second red line, so it goes into the opposite box without going outside the red lines.
I started playing squash when I was 7 years old in Colchester in Essex. The reason I think I started playing squash was because my father used to take me up to the club, and then I got a whole load of friends that also played, and we used to compete against each other. I think the reason why I love squash so much is purely the competition. I'm very competitive, and I've always been very competitive in sport. And I think that's one of the driving forces, as squash is probably one of the most competitive sports there are.
The return serve is different from the one in tennis. It can either be volleyed or hit after one bounce. It can be hit directly off one of the side walls, as long as it is above the metal plate and below the red lines.
I've been playing squash since I was 12 years old. I got involved with squash mainly because my family were involved when I was little, and also my sister was a very good squash player. I enjoy watching her play and also enjoy playing for fun. I'm now top 10 player in the world.
Oh, what a great shot.
Never ever right Sue, right off.
Mini squash is a great game for kids. Not only are the rackets slightly smaller than normal sized squash rackets, and the ball's a little bit more bouncy, but it's an entertaining way for kids to start to play squash, and it's great fun.
My favourite shot in squash is forehand drive.
The straight drive is probably one of the first shots you learn. It needs to be tight to the side wall and as far back as possible so it drops dead in the corner.
The secret to a good drive is making the ball die in the back corners. It's got to bounce once and then die. On the way down there, it's got to be tight to the side wall at all times. One of the things I was lucky with was while I was at school, I was able to play competitive squash around the country, playing tournaments. I got invited to the national squads, and that was a real motivating force while I was young, because it offered me a lifestyle outside of school that none of the other school kids had. And I felt very special with that.
Working with the Woolwich Building Society, the SRA have developed the Woolwich Junior Skills Award Scheme. It's an entertaining and challenging way for children to test their skills at squash. Each grade is rewarded with a colourful badge. Mini squash equipment is used in the Green and Blue Awards, with the full equipment being used in the Red, Bronze, Silver and Gold Awards.
I got my blue award by doing good shots like drives and volleys.
What we're doing here at the moment is trying to teach Laura how to play a drop shot. A drop shot basically is a shot that is played very short, quite softly, to the front corner, trying to hit the nick, like that one, where the wall and the floor meet. That is the ideal place to hit a drop shot. It's a very good shot in a match situation. When you've put your opponent out of position, you can then play a short ball to actually put them under pressure and put you in charge of the rally.
The great thing about squash is that it's not affected by the weather. It's also a great place to meet your mates, play pool, darts, and just have fun.
Squash is great because it's a good place to meet your friends.
Squash for me is good fun and a great laugh.
The post is my favourite shot. It's a shot played off of the sidewall onto the front wall. It can be used to get yourself out of pressure or put your opponent under pressure.
As you can see, there can be some quite tough rallies in a squash match. Therefore, it's quite essential to have a reasonable standard of fitness. The more often you play, the better your fitness will get, and therefore you will play a better game of squash.
I've got 2 trophies, well, 3 trophies in squash, but one's not as good as the other 2.
I started playing squash when I was 7 years old. I progressed through the Woolwich Skills Awards and I'm now playing competitive matches. I play squash for my school, my club and for the county. Squash is a good way to improve your fitness and also to meet new friends. For example, in a tournament called the Hearts Open, I played people from all over the world and I made friends with some of them.
I think I'm quite good because I beat my dad 2 times.
You may not be able to play all these kind of shots, all the trick shots, but thanks to the Woolwich, they've made it very easy to start playing squash. There's always a lot going on at your squash club, so why not find out more?
Drive it. Volley it.
Post it.
Drop it.
Lob it.
Squash is great fun and it's easy to play. Give it a go.